Taehyun Park dragged himself up the stairs to his tiny Seoul apartment, his shoulders heavy with exhaustion. Another day, another rejection letter. His aerospace engineering degree gathered dust while he delivered packages to pay rent. He fumbled with his keys, thinking only of a quick meal and collapse into bed. When he opened the door, he froze. Something was sitting at his kitchen table. The visitor had mostly human features, but with blue-tinted skin that seemed to shimmer under the apartment's harsh lighting. Elegant robes draped over a slender frame, and two small ridges ran along the temples of an otherwise human-like face. "Greetings, Taehyun Park," the being said in perfect Korean. "Please do not be alarmed." Taehyun's hand remained on the doorknob, ready to flee. "Who are you? How did you get in?" "I am Ambassador Minhee of the Stellar Republic. Your building manager kindly let me in when I explained the importance of my visit." The alien, because what else could this be, gestured to the chair opposite. "Please sit. I bring news that will change your life." Against his better judgment, Taehyun closed the door and approached cautiously. "Is this some kind of prank? Elaborate makeup?" The alien, Minhee, smiled patiently. "I understand your confusion. Your world has not yet been officially contacted by the wider galactic community. However, individuals from your planet have occasionally crossed paths with us. Individuals like your mother's cousin, Jin Wukang." Taehyun frowned. The name meant nothing to him. "You would not know him," Minhee continued. "He visited Earth 50 years ago as part of an unauthorized cultural exchange. During that time, he formed a connection with your family, particularly your grandmother. My grandmother never mentioned meeting an alien. She would have known him as Jin, a foreign businessman. I doubt she knew his true nature." Minhee placed a small metallic disc on the table. It projected a holographic image of an older Asian man standing beside a much younger version of Taehyun's grandmother. "That's her," Taehyun whispered, reaching toward the image but stopping short of touching it. "But why are you here now, telling me this?" "Jin Wukang passed away 3 days ago. In his final testament, he named you his sole heir." Taehyun laughed, a short, disbelieving sound. "Me? He didn't even know me. On the contrary, he followed your life with great interest. Your grandmother sent him messages about your progress through channels she didn't fully understand. Your academic achievements, your struggles. He knew them all." The alien produced a second disc, which displayed images of Taehyun throughout his life. Graduation photos, news clippings of science competitions he'd won as a student. "This is unsettling." "Perhaps. But Jinwoo was impressed by your intelligence and character. When it came time to select an heir, he chose you over more politically advantageous options." Taehyun rubbed his temples, trying to process this information. "So what exactly am I inheriting?" "Money. Wealth beyond what you can imagine," Minhee confirmed. "Estates on 3 different worlds. Controlling interest in a technology conglomerate. Patents for innovations your world won't develop for centuries." Taehyun's tiny apartment suddenly felt symbolic of his entire life. Cramped, limited, going nowhere. "This sounds too good to be true." "There are complications," Minhee admitted. "The inheritance comes with responsibilities." "What kind of responsibilities?" "Jinwoo's business rivals will challenge your claim. There are political factions who oppose human involvement in galactic affairs." Minhee paused. "And according to our customs, you would also inherit his household, including his wife." "His wife?" Taehyun nearly knocked over his chair standing up. I can't. Marriage customs vary considerably across cultures," Minhee explained calmly. "Jisoo was Jinwoo's partner by contract. In our society, such arrangements transfer with property. She would become part of your household. That's basically slavery." "Not at all. Jisoo is a respected diplomat in her own right. The arrangement is more complex than simple ownership, but it is binding under our laws." Taehyun paced the small room, his mind racing. "This is insane. You're asking me to leave Earth, claim an alien fortune, and somehow take responsibility for someone else's wife. I am merely delivering the option. Minhee placed a small crystal key on the table. You have 7 Earth days to decide. If you accept, this key will activate, signaling a transport vessel. If you decline, Jinwoo's assets will be liquidated and distributed according to secondary provisions in his will. Taehyun stared at the key, its facets catching the light from his cheap overhead lamp. Why would he do this? Put this choice on me. Before he died, Jinwoo said something that might explain it. Minhee's expression softened. He said, Earth's children reach for stars they cannot see. This one deserves to touch them. After Minhee left, Taehyun sat alone in his apartment for hours, staring at the crystal key. He looked around at his life. The stack of rejection letters, the past due notices, the dreams slowly dying. He thought about the stars he'd always wanted to reach, the technologies he'd imagined but could never build with Earth's limited resources. 5 days later, Taehyun stood in his empty apartment. He'd sold what little he owned, closed his bank account, and told his few friends he was moving abroad for work. The crystal key pulsed with soft light in his palm. With one last look at the life he was leaving behind, Taehyun closed his fingers around the key. It grew warm in his hand and began to glow brightly. A voice that seemed to come from inside his own head spoke in a language he somehow understood. Inheritance claim acknowledged. Transport arriving in 3 minutes. Welcome to the stars, heir of Jinwoo. The transport ship arrived without sound or spectacle. One moment Taehyun stood in his empty apartment. The next a shimmering doorway appeared in the air before him. Through it, he could see a softly lit chamber and the silhouette of someone waiting. Please step through quickly, called a voice. Spatial bridges are energy intensive. Taking a deep breath, Taehyun clutched his small backpack and stepped through. The sensation was like walking through a curtain of cool water, and then he was aboard the ship. A young-looking alien with pale green skin bowed slightly. Welcome aboard the Swift Horizon. I am Kyungmin, junior diplomatic attaché assigned to facilitate your transition. Taehyun looked back, but the doorway had vanished. That's it. No customs. No paperwork. Ambassador Minhee handled all necessary documentation. Kyungmin said with a smile. Though I should inform you that you are now the first human to legally leave Earth's solar system, a historic occasion. Before Taehyun could process this information, the floor beneath him vibrated slightly. Are we moving? Indeed. We've already left Earth's atmosphere. Would you like to observe our departure? Kyungmin led him to what appeared to be a solid wall. With a wave of his hand, the wall became transparent, revealing a view that took Taehyun's breath away. Earth hung below them, a perfect blue marble wrapped in white swirls of cloud. As he watched, it grew smaller at an impossible rate. Our drive system creates a controlled distortion in space-time, Kyungmin explained. We are not moving in the conventional sense. Space itself compresses ahead and expands behind us. Like the theoretical Alcubierre drive, Taehyun whispered, his engineering mind racing to understand. A similar principle, though far more refined. Your Dr. Alcubierre was on the right track. Kyungmin sounded impressed. Your uncle Jinwoo made several improvements to our propulsion systems, actually. He wasn't really my uncle. Family connections in the Republic are complex. Your relationship to Jinwoo is legally recognized as familial, regardless of biological connection. The Earth was now just a bright point of light among countless stars. Taehyun felt a rush of emotions, exhilaration, terror, and something like grief. How long until we reach? Where are we going, exactly? Nova Sejong, third planet of the Minseok system, approximately 6 hours by our measure. Kyungmin gestured down a corridor. I'll show you to your quarters. You might wish to rest before arrival. The room Taehyun was given would have been luxury accommodations on Earth, spacious, with furnishings that adjusted to his body as he sat or reclined. But rest was impossible. He paced the room, occasionally stopping to stare out at the stars streaming past. A soft chime announced Kyungmin's return. We've entered the Minseok system. Would you like refreshment before we discuss protocols for your arrival? Over a meal of unfamiliar but delicious foods, Kyungmin explained the basics of Republic society. Humans aren't common visitors. Your world is classified as pre-integration in our records. You mean primitive, Taehyun replied. Developing, Kyungmin corrected diplomatically. The Republic maintains observation posts near hundreds of worlds at similar technological stages. Direct contact happens only in special circumstances, like when an alien businessman decides to make a human his heir. Precisely. Jinwoo's decision has created quite a stir in certain circles. The Technological Development Council is particularly concerned. Why? They fear human ingenuity combined with advanced Republic technology could be destabilizing. Kyungmin's expression became serious. You will face resistance, Taehyun. Not everyone welcomes your presence here. Great. Interstellar racism. More like caution based on historical precedent. Other species have advanced too quickly with unfortunate results. Kyungmin handed him a small device. This translator will help you understand languages your implant hasn't processed yet. My what? The inheritance acceptance transmitted basic language protocols directly to your neural pathways. Did Ambassador Minhee not mention this? Taehyun touched his temple, suddenly uneasy. No, she left that part out. Before he could ask more questions, the ship slowed. Through the viewport, Taehyun saw a planet growing larger, blue-green like Earth, but with different continental patterns and 2 small moons. Nova Sejong, Kyungmin announced, settled 300 years ago by colonists primarily from Earth's Korean peninsula, though the population is now quite diverse. They descended toward a sprawling city nestled between mountains and sea. Buildings spiraled upward in graceful curves, connected by transparent tubes. Parks and green spaces were everywhere, and vehicles moved through the air in orderly patterns. It's beautiful, Taehyun whispered. Jinwoo's estate is in the western hills, Kyungmin said. We've informed his household of your arrival. They are prepared to receive you. As they approached a large compound set into the hillside, Taehyun's nervousness returned. What should I expect? How do I address her? Kyungmin understood immediately. Jisoo is well respected in diplomatic circles. Formal but courteous is appropriate for a first meeting. She will take cues from your behavior. The ship landed on a private platform extending from the main building. A small reception committee waited, all wearing formal attire in shimmering fabrics. Ready? Kyungmin asked. Taehyun straightened his earth clothes, suddenly aware of how simple they must appear. Not really, but let's go. The door opened, and bright sunlight flooded in. Taehyun squinted as he stepped onto the platform. The air smelled sweet, like flowers he couldn't name. The group parted to reveal a tall, elegant woman with silver-tinted skin and dark hair that seemed to float slightly despite the absence of wind. Her eyes, completely black without visible pupils, regarded him with unreadable emotion. Hair of Jinwoo, she said, her voice melodic but formal. I am Jisoo, diplomat of House Kang. She bowed slightly. Welcome to what is now your home. Taehyun returned the bow, deeper than hers as Kyungmin had instructed. Thank you for your welcome. I'm still learning your customs and would appreciate your guidance. Something flickered in those black eyes. Surprise, perhaps. As you wish, she replied. Then, with a gesture toward the house, please enter. There is much to discuss. As Taehyun followed her into the estate, he couldn't help feeling he'd just passed some kind of test, the first of many to come. The estate of Jinwoo Kang sprawled across the hillside in elegant curves of stone and glass. Inside, Taehyun followed Jisoo through rooms filled with objects that blended art and technology in ways his mind struggled to categorize. Floating sculptures changed shape as they passed. Furniture emerged from the floor when needed, then melted away. These will be your private quarters, Jisoo said, gesturing to a suite overlooking gardens that glowed with soft bioluminescence in the gathering dusk. The house systems respond to your preferences. Simply speak your needs aloud. Thank you, Taehyun said, still overwhelmed. This is all so unfamiliar, Jisoo finished for him. Her expression remained carefully neutral. You will adapt, or you will not. Either way, decisions must be made regarding Jinwoo's business interests. Taehyun felt a flare of annoyance at her dismissive tone. I'm trying my best to understand a completely alien world. Some patience would be appreciated. Something flickered in her black eyes. Patience is a luxury we may not have. Jinwoo's rivals already moved to claim what they believe should be theirs. She paused. I have arranged a formal dinner tomorrow. Key business associates and political figures will attend. It would be unwise to miss this opportunity. After she left, Taehyun collapsed onto a couch that conformed perfectly to his body. House system, he said tentatively. Can you tell me more about Jinwoo Kang? The air shimmered, and a lifelike projection of the man from the holographic photo appeared. Jinwoo Kang, born stellar date 73-29-14, died stellar date 98-42-06. Primary achievements include quantum communication innovations, gravity manipulation systems, and cultural exchange initiatives. Taehyun spent hours learning about the man who had changed his life. By morning, he had a clearer picture of the eccentric genius whose shoes he was expected to fill, and the political landscape he had entered. The formal dinner was held in a room where one entire wall opened to the night sky. 20 guests of various species sat at a table made from what appeared to be living wood, its surface rippling gently beneath dishes of exotic foods. Taehyun, dressed in formal attire provided by the house, tried to follow Jisoo's whispered instructions on proper etiquette, which utensil to use, when to speak, how to address the various dignitaries. The human seems overwhelmed by simple customs, remarked a corpulent alien with ridged skin, loud enough for all to hear. Perhaps Jinwoo should have chosen a more sophisticated hair. Counselor Dohyun, Jisoo replied smoothly. Humans adapt quickly, a quality your own species might envy. Taehyun noted the subtle tension around the table. Dohyun's companions smiled behind their hands while others looked uncomfortable. Speaking of adaptation, Dohyun continued, I was just telling my colleagues that human medical technology is centuries behind ours. It would be wasteful to share advanced treatments with them before they've developed the proper ethical frameworks. Taehyun remembered what Kyungmin had said about resistance to human advancement. Before Jisoo could intervene, he spoke up. It's interesting you mention ethics, Counselor. On Earth, withholding medical treatment from those who need it would be considered deeply unethical. A silence fell over the table. Jisoo's expression remained neutral, but her hand tightened slightly on her drinking vessel. You speak out of turn, human, Dohyun said coldly. I speak as the heir of Jinwoo Kang, Taehyun replied, gaining confidence. Who, I've learned, believe knowledge should be shared, not hoarded. The dinner concluded with strained politeness. Later, in a private sitting area, Jisoo confronted him. You've upset Counselor Dohyun, she said. Humans aren't expected to speak during high council gatherings. He was talking about restricting Earth's access to medical technology, Taehyun replied. I couldn't stay silent. A hint of a smile touched Jisoo's lips. Your predecessor would have agreed with your sentiments, if not your tactics. Over the following days, Taehyun explored the estate. The most fascinating discovery was Jinwoo's workshop, a vast space filled with half-completed inventions and holographic designs floating in the air. Here, Taehyun's engineering background proved valuable. He could understand the principles behind Jinwoo's work, if not all the specifics of the technology. One afternoon, while Taehyun was examining a device that seemed designed to manipulate gravity fields, the workshop door slid open. 3 stern-faced aliens in crisp business attire entered, led by a tall figure with iridescent skin. So this is Jinwoo's human pet, the leader said, looking around with undisguised interest. I am Director Sunwoo of Hanwoo Industries. We had many profitable collaborations with your predecessor. I'm still reviewing Jinwoo's business relationships, Taehyun said carefully. What can I help you with? We wish to purchase several of Jinwoo's unfinished patents, Sunwoo said, gesturing to the gravity device. This one in particular. Name your price. Something in the alien's too casual tone made Taehyun suspicious. I'm not ready to make those decisions yet. Sunwoo's pleasant demeanor cooled. Perhaps you misunderstand. These technologies are wasted in human hands. We're offering you an elegant exit strategy. Sell to us. Return to Earth wealthy beyond imagination. I appreciate the offer, but no. Sunwoo stepped closer, towering over Taehyun. Reconsider. The Republic is no place for humans to meddle in affairs beyond their comprehension. That night, Taehyun was awakened by blaring alarms. The house system announced. Security breach detected. Unknown intruders on the grounds. Taehyun stumbled from bed, disoriented. His door slid open to reveal Jisoo, no longer in formal diplomatic attire but dressed in fitted black clothing. She carried what looked like a ceremonial staff that hummed with energy. Stay behind me, she ordered, her earlier coolness replaced by fierce determination. I won't let them take what belongs to our household. Who are they? Taehyun asked, following her through darkened corridors. Likely Hanwoo Industries agents, she replied. I heard about their visit. They'd been trying to acquire Jinwoo's gravity manipulation research for years. As they reached the workshop, they found the door partially melted. Inside, dark figures were attempting to download data from Jinwoo's central system. Without hesitation, Jisoo charged forward, her staff crackling with energy as she engaged the intruders. Taehyun, acting on instinct, grabbed a nearby prototype, a small device Jinwoo had labeled Field Disruptor, and activated it. A wave of energy pulsed outward, temporarily disabling the intruder's technology. In the confusion, security drones arrived, surrounding the would-be thieves. Later, as dawn broke over the estate, Taehyun and Jisoo sat in the garden, nursing minor injuries. You fought well, Jisoo said, genuine respect in her voice. Jinwoo chose better than they expected. We make a good team, Taehyun replied. I think they underestimated both of us. For the first time, Jisoo smiled fully. Yes, she agreed. Perhaps there is hope for this arrangement after all. After the break-in, the atmosphere at the estate changed. Security systems were upgraded, staff were more vigilant, and most noticeably, Jisoo's attitude toward Taehyun had warmed considerably. They spent mornings in Jinwoo's workshop, where Taehyun's engineering background proved surprisingly useful. Though the technology was far beyond Earth's capabilities, the underlying principles were often familiar. Why did you defend me? Taehyun asked Jisoo as they examined the damaged laboratory door, still not fully repaired after the intrusion. You aren't what I expected, she admitted, her silver-tinted skin catching the morning light. When they told me I was being transferred to a human inheritor, I assumed you would sell everything and return to Earth. To be honest, I considered it, Taehyun replied. But there's so much here that could help people, not just on Earth, but everywhere. Jisoo studied him thoughtfully. That's exactly what Jinwoo used to say. They turned their attention to a strange device in the center of the workshop, a spherical object about the size of a basketball, with intricate patterns etched into its surface. According to Jinwoo's notes, it was designed to generate clean energy from ambient space particles, but he had never perfected it. The power output calculations are correct, Taehyun said, examining the holographic design schematics, but there's a stability issue. See this oscillation pattern. Jisoo leaned closer. The energy extraction is too aggressive. It creates feedback. Exactly. Taehyun felt a thrill of discovery. But what if we modulated the intake field? Like this. He manipulated the holographic display, adjusting variables. The simulation stabilized, showing a steady energy output. You did it, Jisoo whispered. Jinwoo tried for years to solve that problem. Taehyun looked at her, suddenly understanding something important. You worked with him on this, didn't you? You're not just his wife. You were his research partner. Junior partner, she corrected, but with a small smile. My background is in applied physics. It was a good match, professionally. The personal arrangement came later, for political reasons. This revelation shifted something in Taehyun's perception of their situation. They weren't just strangers thrown together by circumstance. They were colleagues, potentially. Their breakthrough didn't go unnoticed. 3 days later, an official communique arrived from the Stellar Republic Science Council requesting a demonstration of the energy device. This is a trap, Jisoo said flatly. Director Sunwoo sits on the Science Council. He couldn't steal the technology, so now he's using official channels to get access. But refusing would look suspicious, Taehyun noted. And we need political allies if we're going to protect Jinwoo's legacy. They decided to proceed with caution. Taehyun would present only the basic principles of the energy device, enough to demonstrate its potential but not its specific mechanisms. The presentation was held in a grand amphitheater in the capital city. Representatives from various worlds filled the tiered seating, their diverse appearances still somewhat shocking to Taehyun, despite his weeks in the Republic. He kept his demonstration simple, explaining how the device could provide clean energy without depleting resources or creating harmful byproducts. The council members asked pointed questions, which Taehyun answered carefully, avoiding technical specifics. Impressive theory, Director Sunwoo said when Taehyun finished. But without a working prototype, this is merely speculation. Perhaps the human has misunderstood Jinwoo's notes. The prototype is being refined. Taehyun replied evenly. We'll schedule another demonstration when it's ready. Afterward, at a reception, Taehyun was approached by various officials and business representatives. Most were politely curious about the human inheritor, but a few offered thinly veiled warnings about knowing his place in the Republic. You handled yourself well, Jisoo said as they prepared to return to the estate. But be careful. You've just announced to the entire Republic that you're continuing Jinwoo's most controversial work. Her warning proved prophetic. The next morning, Jisoo didn't appear for their usual workshop session. Taehyun checked her quarters, the gardens, the meditation room, all empty. House system, he called out, trying to keep panic from his voice. Where is Jisoo? Jisoo left the estate at 5:20 hours, the system replied. Her transport was intercepted approximately 2.3 kilometers from the property. Security protocols were overridden by an alpha-level governmental authorization code. A governmental authorization code, meaning someone with official power had taken her. But who? And why? Taehyun's communicator chimed. A message appeared in midair. The wife for the technology. Simple exchange. Instructions to follow. His first instinct was to contact Republic security forces, but he hesitated. What if they were involved? Jisoo had mentioned that certain factions feared human influence in the Republic. The alpha-level governmental authorization suggested high-placed officials might be behind this. Instead, Taehyun retreated to the workshop and sealed the doors. House system. I need to review all of Jinwoo's personal security protocols and show me any tracking technology he developed. Hours later, armed with several of Jinwoo's prototype devices and a plan that was probably suicidal, Taehyun boarded a small personal transport ship. According to the tracking data he'd uncovered, Jisoo's unique bioelectrical signature was being held in a facility owned by Sunghun Enterprises, a corporate rival of Hyunwoo Industries, but likely working toward the same goal. The facility was heavily guarded, but Taehyun had discovered something interesting in Jinwoo's notes. Most Republic security systems were designed to detect energy weapons and sophisticated technology. They weren't calibrated for simple mechanical tools or basic chemistry, things considered too primitive to be threatening. Using materials found in Jinwoo's workshop, Taehyun created smoke bombs, a rudimentary lockpick, and several other low-tech tools. He landed his ship some distance from the facility and approached on foot, avoiding the sensor grid by staying close to the ground. The smoke bombs created enough confusion for him to slip inside. Using Jinwoo's tracking device, he navigated the labyrinthine corridors until he found a heavily secured door. Rather than trying to hack the sophisticated lock, Taehyun used a simple trick he'd learned in his university days. He disconnected the power supply, causing the security system to default to open rather than locked. Inside, he found Jisoo restrained on a medical table, surrounded by equipment designed to scan her brain. "Taehyun," she whispered, disbelieving. "How did you find me?" "Human ingenuity," he replied with a small smile as he released her restraints. "Apparently we're not as predictable as your people think." As they made their escape, alarms blared throughout the facility. They barely reached the transport ship before security forces surrounded the area. Once safely away, Jisoo explained what had happened. They weren't just after the energy device. They wanted information about Earth, specifically why Jinwoo was so interested in your planet. Why would they care about that? Jisoo's expression grew serious. Because Earth has been deliberately kept isolated. Many in the Republic fear human adaptability and innovation. They've blocked your world's integration for decades. That's why Jinwoo named a human as his heir, Taehyun realized. He was forcing the Republic to acknowledge Earth. Yes, Jisoo agreed. And now they fear you'll complete what he started. The rescue of Jisoo changed everything. Word spread quickly through the Republic's political circles. A human using primitive methods had outmaneuvered advanced security systems. Some found it alarming. Others saw it as confirmation of what Jinwoo had been saying for years about human potential. In the weeks that followed, Taehyun and Jisoo worked tirelessly in the workshop. The energy device was nearly complete. They made breakthrough after breakthrough. Their collaboration seamless now that the walls between them had fallen. Jinwoo believed this technology could change everything. Jisoo explained as they calibrated the final components. Not just clean energy, but a path to equality among worlds. "What do you mean?" Taehyun asked. "Resource scarcity drives most conflicts in the Republic. Powerful worlds control rare elements needed for advanced technology." She adjusted a setting with practiced hands. "This device draws energy from space itself, available everywhere, to everyone." Taehyun understood the implications. No wonder they tried to stop us. This would upset the entire power balance. 3 days later, the device was ready. A perfect sphere of swirling energy contained within a crystalline shell, humming with power. "What now?" Taehyun asked. "Now we face the council," Jisoo replied. "Publicly, where they cannot silence us without revealing themselves." Invitations went out to all major Republic factions. The demonstration would be held in the Grand Assembly Hall, with representatives from hundreds of worlds in attendance. It was a bold move, forcing their opponents to either accept the innovation or openly oppose it. The night before the demonstration, Taehyun couldn't sleep. He wandered the gardens, trying to calm his mind. He found Jisoo there, gazing up at the stars. "Nervous?" he asked. "Terrified," she admitted with a small smile. "But certain we're doing the right thing. If this works, what happens next? For us, I mean." Taehyun had been avoiding this conversation, unsure of his place in this world, and in Jisoo's life. She turned to face him. "When I became yours through inheritance, I resented everything you represented. A human who knew nothing of our ways, given authority over my life. I never wanted that kind of control," Taehyun said softly. "I know that now." She moved closer. "These past months, working together, facing danger together, I've seen who you truly are. Your kindness, your brilliance, your willingness to risk everything for what's right." The soft bioluminescence of the garden cast a gentle glow on her silver-tinted skin. Taehyun realized how much his feelings for her had changed, from awkward obligation to deep respect, and now to something more. "The inheritance created a legal bond between us," Jisoo continued. "But perhaps we could form a true partnership, not bound by law or tradition. but by choice. Taehyun took her hand gently. I'd like that. The next day, they stood together before the assembled council. The Grand Assembly Hall was filled to capacity, with additional viewers watching via holographic projection throughout the Republic. Taehyun recognized many faces: political leaders, corporate directors, scientific authorities, all focused intently on the small device he carried. Director Sunwoo sat in the front row, his expression carefully neutral. Counselor Do-yeon looked openly contemptuous, but there were friendly faces too. Kyungmin, the junior diplomat who had first welcomed Taehyun, and several scientists who had expressed support for Jinwoo's vision. Distinguished representatives, Taehyun began, his voice steady despite his nerves. I come before you not just as the heir of Jinwoo Kang, but as a representative of Earth, a world that has been denied its rightful place in the galactic community. Murmurs spread through the assembly at this direct acknowledgement of Earth's isolation. Today, we present the culmination of Jinwoo's life's work, and a testament to what collaboration between different worlds can achieve. Taehyun placed the device on the central podium, where it began to glow with increasing brightness. This technology creates clean, unlimited energy from the quantum fabric of space itself. It requires no rare elements, no limited resources. It can be implemented anywhere, by anyone. The device's glow intensified, bathing the hall in soft blue light. Holographic displays showed real-time data, energy output, stability metrics, radiation readings, 0, all confirming Taehyun's claims. Most importantly, Jisoo added, stepping forward, we do not claim ownership of this discovery. The complete specifications will be made freely available to all worlds of the Republic and to Earth. This announcement caused an uproar. Director Sunwoo shot to his feet. This is outrageous. Such technology must be controlled, regulated. By whom? Taehyun challenged. The same factions that have kept Earth isolated. The corporations that profit from resource scarcity. The human speaks out of turn. Counselor Do-yeon sputtered. The human speaks the truth, came a new voice. An elderly alien rose from the back of the assembly. One of the high counselors, rarely seen in public. For too long, we have allowed fear to guide our policy toward developing worlds. Jinwoo Kang saw a different path. Perhaps it is time we listened. The debate raged for hours. Corporate interests fought fiercely against the free distribution of the technology. Security factions warned of risks if lesser worlds gained access to advanced energy systems. But public opinion was shifting. Many representatives saw the potential benefits for their own worlds. In the end, a compromise was reached. The technology would be shared, but with oversight from a newly formed committee, one that would include representatives from Earth. Earth will be granted observer status in the Republic, the High Counselor declared, a first step toward full integration. It was more than Taehyun had dared hope for. As the assembly concluded, well-wishers surrounded them, offering congratulations and support. Others glared from a distance, their opposition clear but powerless against the tide of change. Later, back at the estate, Taehyun and Jisoo stood on the balcony overlooking the city lights. What happens now? Taehyun asked. Will you come to Earth with me? Help establish the first official connection between our worlds. Jisoo's luminescent skin glowed softly in the twilight. I would be honored to build that bridge with you. She smiled, truly genuine and warm. From this moment on, I am yours not by obligation, but by my own will. She took his hands in hers. Now I am all yours. Taehyun smiled back, thinking of the strange journey that had brought him here. From a struggling engineer in a tiny Seoul apartment to the man who would help bring Earth into the galactic community. And I am yours, he replied. Together, we'll build something entirely new. Above them, the stars seemed brighter somehow, no longer distant and unreachable, but the beginning of a path that would connect two worlds and change the future for both.